Good evening. I'm calling to order the Monday, June 15th, 2026 special board meeting, but it really is a workshop. I mean, it's special makes it sound like we are convening it
something
for
special.
something special, and it was already scheduled. But anyhow, so I am looking for approval of the agenda.
I approve the agenda.
Mr. Queen has made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mackenzie's seconded. Is there any discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
The agenda.
Aye.
The agenda has been approved. Alrighty, I am looking for a motion to move into closed session for the following reasons. Following reason: applicants for new hires, resignations, volunteers, transfers, extra pay for extra duty, and any other personnel matters. The reason being, public discussion of applicants and employee names and personal information could discourage people from working for the board and contain sensitive personal and biographical information. Personnel information is protected from disclosure under the MPIA. I'm looking for a motion to go into closed session for that reason.
I motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Queen has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Dorsey has made the second. Is there any discussion? I call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. We will resume the open session at 6 o'clock. a special meeting of the Kent County Board of Education, June 15th, 2026. Report on closed session. The only thing we discussed was personnel to be voted on in open session and other personnel matters. No action was taken in closed session. All righty. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. McKenzie, would you mind leading us in that, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. First thing is consent agenda. One item on the consent agenda, personnel. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Ms. McKenzie's made the motion. I need a second.
I second.
Queen has made the second. Any discussion? I call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. Dr. McComas, you want to introduce
Yes,
someone?
so thank you very much, board members. I would like to introduce everyone to Dr. Yolanda Holloway. If you want Dr. Holloway, you can come up to the microphone just to send greetings. She's bringing to us 14 years of administrative experience, and she's served in multiple school systems across the state. And we are excited for her energy, her expertise, and her leadership. So welcome, Dr. Holloway.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you for your vote of confidence. I really am looking forward to working in Kent County Public Schools. I've grown up on the Eastern Shore, so this is just like going to be extended home for me. And again, I can't wait to get started on building that boutique experience that Dr. McComas started talking about. And just, I'm really excited for the opportunity to serve the students and families and community of Kent County.
Welcome.
Yes,
welcome,
welcome to
thank you.
KCPS.
All righty.
And you are free to enjoy the rest of your evening, so thank you for joining us.
It'll be short, it should be short and sweet. All righty. The other item under superintendent's report is the Citizens Advisory Committee update.
And are you okay, Ms. McKenzie, if I talk, or do you want to
Yeah,
talk?
no,
I don't
that's
want
fine.
to
Yeah.
steal anybody's thunder. So as our board members know, and for those who follow our KCPS board meetings, we have been striving with our Citizens Advisory Committee. And was it 2 weeks ago?
No.
A little bit.
Oh, your meeting was
Yeah,
2 weeks
most
ago.
recent.
Yeah, we talked about it last week, but your meeting was
Yes.
the week before.
So we are bringing forward, just as information as like a first read, if you will, some proposals around our Citizens Advisory. So one of the proposals deals with supporting the purpose of the CAC. So in our discussions with CAC members, we spend a lot of time kind of coming back to the purpose of the CAC, and we know it's in the title, Citizens to Advise the Board, right? It's an advisory group. And there's sort of been this back and forth struggle of like, well, what are they advising us on? Sometimes we as a group have a topic that we're seeking their advice on, and sometimes we aren't real organized in that. And Ms. McKenzie did some research and recognized that a neighboring school system uses their system-wide strategic plan as sort of the anchor of topics for their citizens advisory, right? So that's a structural proposal that we're making, so that the topics are always driven by the strategic plan, which is our system-wide improvement plan, which highlights the priorities of our system. So we'd like to propose that structure for always ensuring that the CAC has meaningful and relevant topics to be seeking and giving us advice on. Maintain the option of reviewing other topics, and obviously, as a whole board, you can direct the CAC to add extra topics. So knock on wood, we haven't had any particular crisis in the last 24 months, but we know, right around the bend, there's the unforeseen that could emerge, and then we might find ourselves in a difficult situation that we're working through and seek advice on a topic as the board directs. Examine the membership. So we've struggled to have a quorum quite a bit. So we wanted to examine the memberships. Right now we have 2 individuals that represent each school. one of the things that came up in our last discussion, which is a different condition than when our CAC was revitalized a number of years ago, we now have all 5 of our schools are community schools and have a community school specialist who the nature of their work is working very closely with parents and community partners all the time. So we now have a structure within the organization of a role that's like a natural connection here to be able to go out and engage parents and community partners and getting advice on specific topics. So we wanted to propose that of the 2 positions for each school, one always is the community schools coordinator or specialist, because it's a natural hinge, I guess, point to be able to reach out more deeply and seek input on topics. One of the things right now, we currently have our term limits. We do have a couple of very committed members of the CAC who are on their second term, and they would no longer be able to serve, but they are committed and would like to continue to serve. They're willing to continue to serve. So we're wondering if that might be beneficial to consider eliminating the term limits or modifying it somehow.
Currently, it's how long?
I think two.
2 years.
I was going to say two-year terms. Change the due date for applications. So right now the due date is in March. If we pushed it back to May, just see if opening up that window of applications might help generate more applications, just because that March time as people are transitioning from the winter, whereas as the days get longer and people start, their energies come back and are willing to, maybe commit to do things. Strike in the current policy, all positions must be seated before the CAC shall be active as a committee. And then moving on, there's also been raised the proposal of allowing public participation. If so, that would be conducted the same way we do here. People would have to sign up. They'd have to be limited by the 3-minute rule. So that you couldn't have somebody just go on and monopolize the meeting and derail it in a filibuster type of fashion. I think that I kind of choose a strategic plan goal and start with that in
Virtual
September.
accessibility.
Oh, virtual accessibility. In working with Mr. Poor, we've talked about how, again, this would be the idea of making it more accessible to be able to reach a quorum, right? To be able to hold the meeting virtually so that people might not have to leave their job early to come to the meeting, but they could log on from their current location rather than maybe pass on serving because they can't logistically get there in
Would the
time.
virtual accessibility be only for the committee? Would that be for the public participation?
Well, it could be either way. If it's just for the members of the committee, we would essentially do a Google Meet. If we wanted it to be accessible for the public, then again, the signing up, we could do that. If we wanted it
No,
to
the
be
only reason I
virtual.
was asking was because they were in that same sentence. It made me
Yes.
think that they were connected.
Yeah, no, they're not entirely connected because we could have, if people sign up ahead of time, we could send the link to them. So that would be that. Choose a strategic plan goal and start with this model of using the strategic plan beginning with next school year. And then again, set the meeting dates early so that people know those 4 dates.
Well, remember, you changed. Only 2, you're only required to have 2 meetings now.
Right, but just
Yeah.
establishing what those dates are,
Okay.
what this is about.
Yeah,
Like,
but you
it's gonna
said
be-
4,
Oh, okay.
so that's what threw me
Okay,
off.
sorry if I said 4, I
Yeah.
didn't, that was
No,
just. this-
but it was changed to just 2
Yes,
meetings,
it-
right? Yeah.
Minimum 2. We could
Minimum
always
2,
add
yeah,
more.
yeah.
We could always add
Yeah.
more, but the minimum was 2. And that was really because we were struggling to get a quorum. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those, I feel like it's a chicken and egg conversation we're kind of having. And then could you go to the next slide? And then Ms. McKenzie, I promise I'll be quiet
Oh,
and then
that's
you
okay.
can,
No, I'm
you can
fine.
add, okay.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean,
setting goals, we talked about this, to achieve renewed, so the goal here is to achieve renewed interest and engagement, set expectations for the committee members, strengthen recruitment and retention. And again, continuing to define the role of the committee so that their focus is always about advising us on the strategic plan and or any other topic that the board would like them to advise us on.
Who put all this together?
Well, I have to thank Ms. McKenzie and I in our discussion, and then Mr. DeVilio really took that and put together the slides.
2 years
on-
ago, we didn't
on
have all this kind of stuff. It was just the committee was set up and you just went to the meetings.
Mhm.
It's great.
And
Well,
that's what I'm hoping to achieve, is just some more structure to make it more meaningful. You know, people need to have a focus and they don't, and so this is what I'm
I get
hoping
it.
will
It's
build some
nice.
enthusiasm with it.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm hoping that all of the board will then look at our strategic plan. And if you have a topic where we would like to be advised on first, that we could start with,
Yeah.
you know, that would be great if we could talk about that and choose one. You know, and that way gives us a starting point.
so what I could do to help with that is in July, because again, tonight is just a first read of proposing these ideas. It doesn't mean that we haven't made a decision yet, right? This is for people to hear and think about the thinking behind the proposals. In July, I could also bring forward, because in August, I need to bring an update on the strategic plan anyway. But in July, I could say these are, key topics for the board to consider in their decision moving forward. So, or do that in August, but whatever the case may be, to support the process.
I'm with it. I think it's needed to fully be able to decide where we go with the CAC. So everything on there, I'm willing to let, give a spin at it, at least for the next cycle year, or at least through the term of Laura and myself. Because I was on it last year. And all of this is needed now. It's just seeing if it helps the purpose of the committee. And then I'll reassess after that year, but I don't have no issue with any of this.
What I would offer to board members, again, because we're not here to make a decision tonight, but I appreciate your encouragement, is in the board docs, you'll see a policy with proposed language changes. And so you can look at that between now and next month, and we can come back next month, answer any questions you may have.
Let me ask one question for you or Laura to answer. The taking away the limit on the term, so how will we cycle people out if we take away the limits? Because you kind of want those new voices at times, or different people. Because
Right.
one of the things I thought, and there's no knock on the people who have been on there multiple times, but the room becomes stagnant with ideas and perception because the same people are kind of, I don't want to use
Right.
the word control the narrative, but they're at the table.
Right, right. And I think, again, this is something we can modify, right? And maybe it's maintain traditionally two terms with one extension, right? Or
Or I've seen it on other boards, 2 consecutive terms, take a break, and you can always come back.
Right,
But yeah,
yeah,
well, and I'm just thinking in terms of membership, if the community school coordinators are going to be one of the representatives, that means every school only is going to have one person, unless you change the number of your members.
Representative.
you know?
right. And that's, if that's something the board wants to do.
No, I'm just saying
Right.
that does, it makes perfect sense as to why you would
Yeah.
have them as your representative. But I do know in the past, been difficult to get people to sign up. And then I was shocked because there's been a lot of discussion about it at board meetings. And when we relaunched it, it took us like 5 meetings to finally hammer out the policy. And then to have somebody say, and this was one of our school employees representing one of the schools saying, I didn't even know this existed. I'm
A
like,
lot of people don't.
where the heck you been?
Yeah, yeah, right. I think it's, it's like many things, right? People only pay attention when suddenly it
Yeah.
feels relevant to
Yeah.
them. And so I don't know what else to say other than,
I'm hoping in time that we can do a better job of, because I know one of the reasons that we're doing this survey is that this is something that can be better publicized. Because if people want input, even though we only have so much flexibility because there's ways that money has to be spent, that's required to be spent. However, there are some things that we do have some flexibility with, and if they want input on that, this is a vehicle to push that through. I mean, they have here too, but it's another avenue.
Right. I think input is one of those end, right? It's not one way, you know, like
Well,
you said,
so-
people can come here.
Well, so I want to ask about that, the flow of the information or the flow of the directive. My understanding was, you know, that CAC is not to circumvent a school, a Board of Education. meeting.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's a
So,
committee.
yeah,
right, of the
so
board.
it's,
They take
I-
instruction from us.
that's what I want to make clear, that's still the thing, so,
Yeah.
I don't know that it's, the CAC would come to us, for example, and say, I suggested this is how we spend them, I'm just going, using
No.
Laura's example of how we spend the money. That's kind of, you
So
know,
what about someone coming to the table, if like someone in the community says, or in the schools, like a parent says, I feel like this is the need, and I'm communicating that I feel this is the need, you don't think that's appropriate?
well, it's not that I don't think it's appropriate, that's not the way it's set up
Yeah.
right now, that's the whole point. If somebody, and I got to tone it down because I don't want to sound like I'm argumentative. If there's somebody in the community that thinks that there's a certain way we should be allocating our money,
This is.
come to the
this-
board
yeah,
and
this
tell
is
us
the room
that.
for
Don't go to the CAC
Correct.
where there are two members of the board on there and the superintendent and come to say this. I mean, that's what a board meeting's for, isn't it?
And some people need more time though to
Yeah.
acclimate to that. I mean, I don't think everyone just has the confidence to step up to this level. I mean,
Well, that's the whole-
I know.
Yeah, I
and
know,
so
I totally
think,
agree.
You know, I'm hopeful that the community coordinators then I'm hoping will be a way to bolster confidence, because there are parents that certainly have opinions on things. And if. and they-
I'm gonna dovetail on that because I'm disappointed because I was just reading Queen Anne's County, okay? They had Queen Anne's County just found a way to allocate $1 million more out of their school budget for mental health, okay? Because the community, the parents and the teachers, we didn't hear any of that. We had a public hearing and nobody said anything. Their county commissioners hold 3 public
Gotcha.
hearings, okay? Our county commissioners had 1 public hearing and there were 2 people other than somebody saying, you know, one of the organizations, thank you for supporting the fire company, okay? The 2 people from the public who spoke were Mr. DeVillio, who talked about a middle school, and Ms. Sullivan, who ran letters. Not a single person, you know, spoke up for the school system. Nobody comes to us and says, you know what, and mental health more than anything now is such, you know, it would have been powerful to have a parent come to us and talk about that. And I'm disappointed we don't get that.
But I think that's to Laura's point, what she's trying to do. She's trying to get that feedback by using the CAC as an avenue or a conduit to kind of get that from the community.
Well, if we're going to
But-
do that, then we need to change.
No, but I agree with you.
I'm confused on why you think that needs to change when it's
Because that's not the
advice.
way it's set up right now.
But the goal is to it's a citizen advisory committee, so advice is flowing from them to us. We decide what to do with that advice. I'm not sure what the confusion is on getting information from them if they never share information with us.
I think the confusion is, as long as we're basing where we go forward based on a strategic plan, their input is valid because it's on the strategic plan. Now, let's say during public participation, someone brings up something that necessarily doesn't have to do with the strategic plan. And I don't know, the complaint can be about, we need universal bathrooms, and we need to vote on that and bringing it back to us. I think that's where her concern might more lie, is they're going to start trying to govern to us through the CAC. So I think you all are making your points for your side of, you know, your point of view
But if the
respectively.
decision is made here, how does the information we receive factor into what the final decision is?
No, I'm not opposed to the
Because like they
information
can't
coming in.
decide, the CAC decides nothing, they only share
CSC, yeah,
information.
they don't have any.
So
action.
I'm not clear at all how they could circumvent a process at all because they have no authority to do so. So what,
Percy?
The only thing I have to say is that as long as they know what their place is, because the only thing about that, once people start coming to them and they start telling us, a lot of times, even on the board, I think we forget what our place is.
Yeah.
We as one cannot make a decision, solve a problem alone. So sometimes when you have people coming to them and then all of a sudden it's like they get mixed up in power line.
Yeah. It's
So
down to a
as
big
long
level.
as everything is clear and they know what their place is, so that when they talk to the individuals, they don't end up, going overboard with what they're saying, promising things they can't, meet. I mean, it's
But
fine as long as they're clear.
but with the setup though, I think it's very clear of
Not
what we're
always clear.
following, that we're having conversations in the Citizen Advisory Committee based off our strategic plan. So if they're giving input on the strategic plan, then yes, I think because we should be reporting back. Here's what was said at the CAC about the strategic plan and where we can improve or where we're doing good or where we're doing bad. That doesn't necessarily mean anything turns into a vote because we're not changing the strategic plan. They don't have the power to do that, but I do, to Laura's point, think they have the power to communicate what's good, what's bad, or how they feeling, and we should have a way to hear it. So I think because we're going through this, it's starting to confuse everyone. And I don't think in the beginning, it's a clear outline on what the CAC purpose is and why it's here, but I think this is trying to address some of that.
I think Mr. Rhodes.
Okay,
Okay, was
I'm
trying
sort
to-
of trying to understand how this works. If I'm understanding correctly, you have a CAC meeting.
Mhm.
Okay, there's a whole bunch of, because I've been to those, and everyone talks about what they want to do or what they suggest. Don't the people, the two board members or the superintendent that's there, you come to our meeting and go, well, this is what was discussed at the CAC meeting. They sort of made this recommendation and that's it.
Right,
That's all it should be,
Just
correct?
share information.
right. Well,
Just share it, that's it.
right, that's the thing, like, regardless of how permeable or not, right, the CAC is in terms of like people who aren't on the committee giving comment, right? At the end of the day, the committee is just a committee. It's not the board. And the committee puts forward recommendations
And
for
that's
the
it.
board to consider.
Yeah.
The board can implement those recommendations, can modify those recommendations, and can ignore those recommendations, right? So, and I think the structure of the strategic plan gives purpose to what we're getting input on, right? As
Correct.
opposed to just
It's
come with all
feedback.
your complaints,
Yeah, it's
right?
feedback.
That are random complaints.
Yeah.
It's structured, like, math achievement. How do we help
Yes.
improve math achievement? Or a more precise thing is, we know parents are an important part of math achievement. How do we support our parents better so that
'Cause
they
we
can
should
help
be-
their kids?
But all
improve?
that will be brought to the meeting by, who's the chairman?
By bring Laura and myself on serving now, but to Dr. McCombs' point, that's how it's supposed to come. The direction come from us, the board. It goes to the CAC through the strategic plan. They have recommendations or input that we should be valuing, and then they just come and report out to us. It doesn't mean every meeting is going to be something recommended or
Right, the
something we
CAC
vote
can't
on.
tell the board
It's
what to
another
do.
way to get more people invested into the information of our school system and getting us information. So to your point, nobody's talking about Kent County Public Schools, maybe adding 5 extra people and adjusting some of them terms, get another 7 voices at the table. So I don't think it's an issue until it turns into an issue. I don't think it's an issue right now,
I don't see any issue.
Yeah,
I just
I
see
don't
you
think it's an
report
issue.
what goes on in the meeting and then
because we have to report it
My
anyway.
hope with it is, again, just like the state has rolled out this blueprint and is kind of not listening to the people that are doing the work.
Right. There was a push and pull.
We have a strategic
Okay.
plan.
Yeah.
I want to hear from the people that are doing the work, what's working, what's not working, to then push back up to the board and say, this is,
There's no
this
refinement.
is, and what would be more helpful. Because I don't want to make the mistake that the state does and not listen to who's most affected.
Yeah.
By whatever's implemented.
And I don't think that would be telling us our job.
And
I
a
didn't
point,
say it was, I just want to make
They know
sure,
that.
and I
yeah.
don't mean this in a,
No, I understand. We don't want to create vigilante groups to, use that and hijack it for other purposes, but I don't think that'll happen with the CAC.
but Aretha did make a point, so I do want to mention it, that it would be helpful that if someone were willing, there'll be more participants. And if a community member wants something on an agenda, then to be able to request that something be placed on the agenda. And so that may not be, I don't know if that has to be a policy change, but I think that would be something that, just like with the AIB, if you want something on agenda, you can request it. and just
As
to
long
at
as
least
it
have it.
pertains to the strategic plan, yes.
Well, not necessarily, because the community they might have something that's apart from that, and that's why I didn't want to lock in. I think there should be some kind of way that the community can, besides here, talk about something that's important to them, that's affecting them.
I agree with you.
I don't disagree, but I
What
think,
is the threat in hearing in another location?
because, no, I don't disagree with hearing anything. It's how are we turning this into an active committee? So I think what we have there makes it active because we have something to talk about now, the strategic plan. So as long as the feedback is coming back for the strategic plan from the CAC, that means we're.
I don't want to lock into that, though. I didn't want
Then
that
I
to
think
be-
this is where they should come. To Trish's point, the Board of Ed meetings is where you come. to
Well,
review.
so I'm thinking I see everybody's point, but if somebody's a community member, a parent, whoever, who happens to go to a CAC meeting, and for whatever reason, they feel not courageous enough or whatever to come bring a board meeting thing. But, at some point, the five of us have to hear the issue. So how are we going to hear it? I mean, filter through the two board members that are representing us at the CAC meeting are then going to come? Because then you've added an extra layer instead of hearing directly from the person who has the concern.
What's the difference between that and hearing information that's filtered through a community school coordinator and saying, this is, what's happening within our school? I mean, how else is information shared? That's a secondhand information. I mean,
But when they
so
be-
is that not valuable?
Let me
Yeah,
ask
but I
this.
think they would come, or they would somehow go through their.
Do we object on anything we see up here? Is there any issues with setting the goals and getting results that we have outlined up here that we kind of have? I think we're going too deep into it without even seeing how the process works, in my opinion.
I think we all agree that we're trying to find a way to make it a more robust, active, I think we all agree that the more people we hear from, the better it is for a school system. I mean, so, we sit here at public participation and some nights we hear nothing, So those are right now, that's really kind of our limited way to hear a concern. I mean, if an individual has a concern, we know exactly what the chain of command is. Go to your teacher. Did you go to your principal? Did you go to the superintendent? Remember, we're not the problem solvers. I mean, that's very clear, and that should have been made clear in orientation. And it keeps getting drummed into me to the meetings I'm attending that, and none of us act unilaterally. So,
I would, and again, just being mindful of our time, tonight was a plant
Yeah.
proposal. that
it's good to talk.
It really is, and we actually do have the time
I
tonight.
don't see nothing wrong with what's up there going forward to
Right.
see how things work, because ultimately, I think the one goal we all served on it can say, we need more participation. So I think with Laura, and whoever else helped, got it to a point to see if we can get more people to the table, because I think bringing those community leaders to the table brings a bigger voice, because they're dealing with the community firsthand. I think what Trish get more to is into the governmental structure, which I don't think that's.
Governance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting into governance.
You go to all those meetings, don't you?
I do.
Yes.
No, I don't. I don't,
Yeah, I
Dr.
can
Lewis.
respond.
Yeah.
Why can't you be the segue? Then you listen to the meetings and you come and
Because
you
she-
put it on the
Well,
agenda.
that's,
She
Ms.
the
Dorothy has a
employee.
really good point. I'm really hoping
No,
she'll
but-
share with
Yeah,
everybody.
stop whispering and tell us.
Now, I was just saying that, when the place that they have, as far as hearings, parents, and when they bring it to, it may be just something they put on. It's not as big as the
Right.
person may think.
Right.
So it's solved right there.
Yeah.
So maybe, it's not something that even needs to be brought, and then
Yeah, now,
they'll be
remember-
satisfied that,
Yeah, but also remember that that the CAC is bound by the same kind of rules we are, in the sense that there's an agenda. That
Yeah.
agenda gets approved. It's not like 10 different people decide to.
So, and this
handle
is
the-
where I want to change things. I'm hoping things will change, that we can agree on this, because we've done things in a certain way, and it's really kind of set up a lot of really difficult boundaries for people to cross. And so what I'm really hoping is that this board can make a little bit of a change to say, let's not make it as difficult as possible for our community to communicate with us. And so I'm hoping, that's where I think her point, excuse me, Mrs. Dorsey's point about giving people an opportunity that by such and such date, if you would like something to be placed on an agenda, that be an option
That is an option. That is an option.
on for the CAC.
Yeah.
I don't see it in
Well,
writing
and what I can tell you is, so when I was the chair of the CAC.
Yeah, you can. put
Before
it
every
for the
meeting,
next meeting, yeah.
before every meeting, I reached out to all CAC members and I said, what would you like to see on the agenda?
Well, right, for the members themselves, but
Yeah.
not anyone outside
Can
of
the
them.
public speak at those meetings?
Yeah.
That's what she's trying to say. No, that's what she's trying to add.
When,
Yeah.
no, I think they should be able to speak.
That's what
I was saying,
we're saying.
you guys, you and.
Don't make
No, 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 no. Wasn't Mrs. Sullivan on there?
Now, that wasn't our decision.
Yeah, that was
something
the-
that's
that was the-
already-
I didn't say anything. I was raising my hand for hours. saying,
But
"Well,
we weren't there when you were there.
Well,
But even when we were there,
But that's
There-
what Laura.
but then you need to just,
Paul should be
yeah,
able to speak.
I
well,
agree.
we
have
were
to
just
do that.
going by the policy as the board had adopted, you know? And we're just,
Yeah, you were following the
yeah,
policy.
yeah, yeah.
I think,
And I,
and you're trying.
no, I don't want to speak for Trish, but I think her concern is governance, but I think Laura's concern is the barriers around the governance. So I do see both points. I don't, once again, I would vote yes for that today. Like, I don't have
For what?
any issue with
What was that?
the
all
change
the changes
proposal.
and suggestions, because we have to actually put an attempt out to see if something new will work, because what we have been doing thus far has not worked. And I was on there for a year and I dreaded going because I didn't think a lot would come out of that.
Right. What I would offer for the board to consider, and again, this is the board decision, I'm the worker bee here to support whatever the board decides and everything. But what I would offer for your consideration, because it seems like the thing that we're most debating is the public input, right? Like, so just as here, those same procedures, right? People would have to sign up, they would have their time to speak their piece. And just like here, we don't engage in that dialogue, right? It would be a listening moment, like a listening post moment. And then whoever is the board president or chair of the committee and whoever the superintendent would then look at that and of those things, like you said, some of those are things that like, that's not for the board, that's my work as superintendent. Just like right
just
now,
like right now with the
Yes,
agenda. Some of
exactly.
the stuff you get, you're like, that's not a
that's the
That's
right.
not a board, yeah.
So, trusting that the superintendent is going to support whoever the board member is leading that committee and saying, you know what, this is an operational issue. That's for me to follow up on as superintendent. These are the things that fall within the board's consideration. And just now, whether it's people who come to our full board meetings and engage in public comment, or, people send emails, right? People sometimes put their complaints or their concerns or their recommendations to all of us in email as well, right? And again, we do that processing where you look and say, okay, that's something for the superintendent work, or as opposed to the board work. So I think we need to have confidence that the superintendent and the committee president or chair can sort through that.
Navigate what actually makes it to,
Yeah.
because I don't think governance is the issue right now. I hear what you're saying.
mhm.
It could be, but I just don't see it happening right now at this
Right,
moment.
right.
And we should be trying to give as many people as possible, because we ain't gonna be honest. If we can get rid of that, I would. But I want people to be able to, for us to say, we're giving a chance for everyone to have input. We're trying to increase and change the ways we're doing this. And then when it doesn't work, that's when my power happens, because then I can start discussing, well, how do we continue or discontinue that? But until we get to that point, I think whatever we can do to get people at the table to give their point of view on our public schools, we shouldn't even be discussing it, to be honest.
And-
But governance, yes, when it becomes a governance issue, but as of right now, I think this is an issue to revamp it. Or not an issue, is a way to revamp it.
I will also, just to complement what you're saying, Mr. Queen, is that we can put procedures in place. You know how, Ms. McGee, just at the beginning as board president, you read each meeting like, this is not the forum to bring, and you know how like you have that statement
yeah.
that, right? We could have something like
Yeah.
that, right? That also
Yeah.
frames
Mhm.
the meeting, right? The committee meeting, like this committee is for this purpose.
Yeah.
We are open to hearing public comment.
Not
This-
an opportunity for dialogue.
Right,
that-
like
that-
we
that-
could,
yeah.
we could have that as
Yeah.
well to help just, norm set, right? Like these are the norms for this
But that's,
forum.
yeah,
if
but
that
that's just
makes
the
sense,
public
to-
participation part. The real dialogue will be happening in the meeting.
In the
Yeah,
committee
yeah.
meeting, yeah.
Yeah, so we do agree with that, right? That the actual conversation happens among the
The
committee
committee.
members.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
I just want to, just for emphasis, remind everybody, it's Board of Education's Citizens Advisory Committee. Dr. McComas and I, on occasion, have had a disagreement about this. It's not the superintendent's
Agreed,
Citizens Advisory Committee,
agreed.
and you're just an ex officio. You're not really a member.
I know,
Okay.
I'm just the worker bee trying to
Okay,
help.
I know, I'm just saying.
Right along on
Yeah,
schedule.
and the reason I say that, because when we were hammering out relaunching it, there was a certain group that didn't even want the superintendent at the meeting,
Right.
okay? I wasn't part of that
Right,
group,
right.
I'm just saying, you know?
You all want me to stay home
Yeah,
from work?
no,
Stay home
because,
from work.
no, you're the,
I just
you're-
want to let you
you
all
have the
understand, I want to
answers, you know?
support, yes.
Yeah.
Right, well, and I want to support your work. I want you to be a successful board. I want your committees to be successful. And I see myself as the logistics person to help it move along. That really is all, and like
you're
you
a
said,
facilitator.
I have insider.
Well, and the thing
knowledge
is,
and
you, sometimes you
expertise
can
to add.
answer a
Yeah,
question
you
right on
being
the
there is
spot.
Important.
I agree,
mean, you,
yeah.
you listen, you don't have to say anything, but you need to know what's going on.
And I can sometimes clarify when
Just
people
like
have
at the high
questions, I
school,
can, yeah.
I've noticed Miss Hemstetter, she goes to every single meeting that they
She
have there.
does, she
She
does.
knows everything that's going on.
Mhm.
I think what we have seen today for the Citizen Advisory Committee is commendable, and there's no reason not to move forward with it.
But tonight's not an
Correct.
action.
It'll be,
just a
it'll be action
discussion.
next month, but
Yeah.
we have to give these things a try. But I do hear your concerns about governance.
Okay, that was a good robust discussion. I like robust discussion stuff.
We care.
I think that concludes our agenda.
All righty, yeah. That is it, all righty. So, before I read about our next meeting, remind everybody when the ESMIC, when's the conference? It's next week, isn't
It
it?
is next Monday, I
A
believe.
week from today? I just
Yes.
want to remind everybody, we have a meeting at the
Were we
Beach
going to get
Club.
an email
What?
about?
Hey,
time
who
or
hasn't-
time?
who hasn't-
When is it?
The annual ESMIC conference, it's at the
The
Chesapeake
Bay
Bay
Beach
Beach.
Club.
It's a one-day conference where all the
yeah.
Eastern
When
Shore,
is it?
Monday,
It's
next
Monday.
Monday. Yeah.
I had it on my calendar.
I'll send everyone an email.
Well,
with
we all
the date and
responded
time.
once. I mean, this is kind of,
Mhm.
gets a
It's an
little,
annual thing. Last
Yeah.
year was the one in Ocean City.
yeah.
If
You
you
didn't
didn't
run
have
a
it,
board
go
member,
back.
they want you to fill out a form. I don't even know if I'm gonna do it. They wanted you to fill out something if you're a retiring board member. I remember reading that somewhere.
Right, because they usually recognize board members and, say thank you for your service.
Here we
No.
went to Ocean
Yeah.
City, which to me was a waste of time,
Mhm.
you know?
Food was
Right,
good.
that was really
Yeah.
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
All right.
It's
You
the-
didn't come.
No, it's.
Frank
had
came
work.
first thing in the morning.
Steve
We
was
should
there.
have just come first thing in the morning. There was no need to spend the night before.
I'll take a night stay.
okay.
Well, it's good because it's in Ken Island.
That's because I drove you and you took care of your kids.
Citizenville.
No, wait.
Yeah.
All right.
So we good. Yeah.
Okay, so the next meeting of the Board of Education of Kent County will be held on July 13th, 2026, beginning at 5:30 PM with the open session. Open session will be immediately followed by the board members going into closed session. The open session will resume at 6:30 PM. The meeting will be located at the administrative building in the boardroom, 5608 Boundary Avenue, Rock Hall. I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
My second.
Mr. Rhodes made the motion, Mr. Queen second. Is there any discussion? I call for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.